This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
He cast himself in an impossible role. Mediator between two nations at war with each other. Gripping the text of his speech, his face pale, Camus faced the climax of a tragedy worthy of Aeschylus or Thucydides. Massacres had marked the evolution of the war in Algeria. It came to life in 1945 at Sétif, a modest town in Kabylia that harbored a small European community. On May 8, 1945, the Pieds-Noirs prepared to celebrate the end of World War II. So too did the Muslim population, but for very different reasons. Poor harvest and a wartime rationing system favoring the Pieds-Noirs had worsened already tense relations between the two communities. For the Muslims, VE Day provided an ideal opportunity to call for national independence. Were not France and the rest of the world celebrating their own liberation after years of brutal occupation? How could the French not see that the values for which they had fought and died were no less legitimate for those who considered France an occupier in their own land? The nationalist demonstration quickly collapsed into a bloodbath. Somewhere someone fired a shot, guns and knives replaced banners and flags. By the end of the day, the rampaging protesters overwhelmed the small police force and murdered more than 100 French residents. While there are no clean massacres, this one was especially horrific. Women's breasts were sliced off. Men's genitals were stuffed into their mouths. The French state's response was equally appalling. Waves of organized repression and vigilante violence washed over the region for the next several days. Upwards of 15,000 Arabs and Berbers were killed, often in grisly fashion. The enormity of the repression bought a decade of uneasy peace. But the price was high. Clear-sighted observers understood that a line had been crossed in 1945. While the French press generally played down the violence at Sétif, the political parties lamented the Pieds-Noirs deaths and ignored the subsequent massacre of Muslims. Even the communists, lulled by the myth of assimilation, were shocked by the religious and nationalist character of the rebellion. No matter how uneasy this task makes us, and Camus often admits to being mal dans sa peau, we must confront it. This imperative for Camus applies to political injustice and to social inequities. In our age, he warned in his Nobel speech, artists must assume their responsibilities toward their fellow men and women. In his stubborn commitment to the world of politics, Camus understood better than anyone else that existential despair was a luxury the poor and oppressed could not afford. But he also understood that his responsibilities as an artist went beyond the realm of politics. In a world that denies us transcendental solace, the artist's task is to justify the pursuit of meaning by human beings. At the heart of Camus' writing, as Jeffrey Isaac notes, is a conception of humans as agents who, as possessors of interpretive and material powers, seek to sustain value in their world. We are overmatched and inevitably overwhelmed in the struggle, but this is not cause for despair. As the work of Camus will always serve to remind us, true despair occurs only when we no longer know the reasons for struggling, or if it is even necessary to struggle. Like Jacques Cormery, gazing at his father's tombstone, most of us have already, or will one day soon, reach the age when we realize, with a shock, that we are older than Camus, but that the reasons for struggling are ageless.